2015. I had bought a Lamborghini and I posted it, and it ended up, I think the total views, there's a few versions of it, is 600 million views on YouTube. It's one of the most viewed things besides music videos, right? So people are like, how'd you end up from no electricity, living like that for 2 years to Beverly Hills? And I'm like, I have no idea actually, but life leads you down a path that you don't always understand, except in hindsight. So I guess in hindsight, I'm motivated by adventure. One of the things a mentor taught me is this thing that I call the 4 M's. A lot of people procrastinate. If you bump into most people I meet, I've got about 13 million social media followers now. And so I get thousands of people asking me questions every day. And the most common theme, one of the most common, is how do I overcome procrastination, fear, and anxiety? My answer is like, well, you got to know what motivates you. And different people are motivated in different ways. So the 4 M's, and I've run this by a lot of scientists. Most of them think I'm on the right track. One of them, he thinks I'm missing an M. But the first M is material things, /money. The second one is mating /romance. The third one is momentum /freedom. And the fourth one is mastery /status. If you look at any person that you know, and you break down why do they do what they do, it's one of those 4. Now, Dr. David Buss, who's a mentor to me now, he used to teach at Harvard, and he's an evolutionary psychologist. He said, Ty, it's all mating. All human psychology is mating. It has to be. It's evolutionary. But I would say for me, my number one is this thing, movement, freedom. And I've kind of been a free spirit. The reason I went from living with no electricity, focused on, living in the country, close to the land, nature, to the city, was I realized I need to make money to have freedom. An average person in America, I read, saving about $2 for every $100 they make. And that's a great way to create a feudal society. For every $100 if you want to guarantee, Charlie Munger says, don't try to think of how to have a good life. He says, use the principle of inversion, try to think of how to have a bad life, and then don't do that. So he goes, you want to have a bad life? For every $100 you make, save 1 or 2 of them and spend 98. And so I grew up, I was born to a single mom. My dad was actually in prison when I was born. I was born kind of in the inner city in Long Beach. And growing up, until I met these mentors, I was just kind of floating around. Yes, you're in school, but they don't teach anything about making money, which has to be the biggest oversight in the solar system. It's like, why do you go to school at the core practical value? Because you have to provide for yourself and your family for the next 40, 50 years. Do we equip you with any skills for that? No. We teach you calculus, which will help you if you become an engineer. I remember I was in a class, I remember learning in 7th grade, they made me memorize what the California state bird was. I think it's the California condor, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
But I was thinking, then when I was like 25, I learned how to invest in real estate and the stock market. And I was thinking, I could have waited on the California state bird. Like, I feel like you can learn that at 60 and you'll still have an enriched life. But you may want to teach kids before they're 18, like how to do their taxes, how to invest, how to do real estate, how to sign a contract. There's 0 of that in school. Even in college, I hire PhDs that are just morons, or actually don't hire them, I interview them. And I'm thinking, get your money back, son. There's depending on who you ask, there's $1.2 trillion of recorded debt for college in the United States. And they think if you count untracked loans from parents, we're talking $2 trillion in debt. And people are coming out knowing nothing. Common sense is no longer common. And so how does a society survive that doesn't know how to take care of themselves? It ends up in a government state. That becomes a solution. And Joel Salatin, I'm not as political as you, or even my first mentor, Joel Salatin, but he's libertarian, and I tend to be more libertarian, probably partly because of that, but partly because it makes sense. And so now it's the replacement of common sense with the replacement of a big government that's going to be the common sense for you. But it's not. In fact, the government's designing the school curriculum that says, let's focus on the California state bird and forget the rest.
So I want to ask you about